Welcome to Echoes of the Unknown, the podcast where we'll be exploring some of the world's most fascinating, unsolved mysteries. I'm Jack Montgomery, and today we're traveling back to the year 2000 to delve into the tragic murder of a young woman named Erin Taylor. She was more than a name in a case file. She was someone who was deeply loved, and her absence left a space that cannot be filled. To this day, her death remains one of Marquette, Michigan's most haunting mysteries. A wound that never fully healed, and a story that refuses to fade with time. Erin Taylor was 24 years old when her life was taken from her in the summer of 2000. She wasn't a celebrity or a headline in national newspapers. However, she was someone whose smile lit up rooms, whose laughter lingered in the memories of friends, and whose absence was felt immediately and painfully by those who cared about her. In a place like Marquette, where violent crime was rare, the impact of Erin's death was seismic. People who had known her described her as sweet and generous, someone who would give you the shirt off her back if you needed it, a violinist who played beautifully, a friend with genuine warmth. Erin had friends and co-workers who still speak of her with eyes that brim with emotion, even now. Less than 2 years before her violent death, Erin had moved to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, the state's northern peninsula. The region, bordered by Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, and Lake Huron, is known for its rugged wilderness, abundant waterfalls, and outdoor recreation. Erin came from Wisconsin, where she had met her best friend Bonnie Dowd in a women's shelter about 1 year earlier. The two became close, closer than many friendships ever become. Bonnie says that while she only knew Erin for a few years, they spent almost every day together. They moved to Marquette in 1999, hoping for a fresh start, a new chapter. They shared an apartment. They shared late-night conversations, dreams for the future, and everyday moments that now read like frozen memories in the minds of those who loved her. In the months before her death, Erin's living situation shifted. She was trying to find her own way to reconnect with her family after a period of estrangement rooted in religious differences. Her parents' beliefs and her own path had diverged years earlier, leaving behind unresolved tension. They were Jehovah's Witnesses, and Erin was not part of that faith initially. However, she later tried to reconnect with her parents and began attending services at a local Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall. It was around that time that she moved in with a couple she had met at that church. Erin was working as a temporary secretary at the Upper Peninsula Medical Center in Marquette when the last normal chapter of her life closed. On August 11, 2000, she left work and said goodbye to her co-workers. She drove home, and then she vanished. At first, her absence was just unusual, but not unheard of. However, when she didn't show up for her job the next day, worry began to spread. Friends called, co-workers checked in. Her beloved Siamese cat was found with no food or water, something Erin would never have allowed to happen. Her friends knew immediately that something was wrong. In 2018, Forsyth Township Chief of Police Gordon Warchuk said, "It initially started off as a missing persons report, but after a short amount of time, we realized that something terrible had happened to Erin." Warchuk was a detective sergeant investigating her disappearance with the Marquette City Police Department at the time. Myself and the Marquette Police, the Michigan State Police, and the Marquette County Prosecutor's Office hit the ground aggressively trying to locate Erin and figure out where she was, he said. For 9 days, Erin was missing. A search unfolded, not just among law enforcement, but among the community that cared about her. Then on August 20th, a Marquette County Sheriff's deputy, who was out investigating an unrelated off-road vehicle complaint, stumbled upon Erin's body in a wooded area on Snowmobile Trail 7, about 100 yards north of County Road 492 in Negaunee Township. The location was approximately 1.5 miles east of the M35 intersection and a mile west of the Marquette Township line. Erin's body was found badly decomposed, hidden among trees and quiet trails that felt far from the life she had known. Identification eventually came through dental records. The autopsy brought unbearable clarity to those who had been searching for her. Erin had been brutally murdered. Investigators believed that she had been strangled in her own home on Wright Street in Marquette, and then her body had been moved and dumped in that secluded wooded area. A ligature was still wrapped around her neck when she was found. Someone had taken her life and then left her where the world could eventually discover her. Police received a promising tip early on in the investigation before Erin's body was discovered. There was a tip that came in right away, probably the first day she was reported missing, said retired Marquette City Police Chief Sal Cervello, who was chief of police at the time of her murder. She was supposed to meet somebody. Warchuk interviewed the person Erin was supposed to meet, a Canadian man who Erin had arranged to meet in Munising, about 43 miles from Marquette, the weekend she disappeared. However, after the man passed a polygraph test and additional evidence was reviewed, he was cleared as a person of interest in the case. The police determined that Erin had never arrived for their meeting. City Manager Mike Angeli, who worked on the case in the Marquette City Police's Detective Bureau at the time, said, "She had planned to have an encounter with this guy. Through our investigation, we learned that encounter never occurred, and that person was cleared of any suspicion of wrongdoing." From the beginning, the investigation was thorough. Local police in the Marquette County Sheriff's Office formed a task force involving officers and specialists to investigate the case. Over time, other potential suspects were considered and subsequently eliminated. Numerous people, including friends, acquaintances, co-workers, church contacts, and anyone who might have seen Erin in her final days, were interviewed and cleared over the years. Detectives reviewed timelines, checked alibis, and followed up on every credible tip. Some suspects were publicized and then removed from suspicion as evidence directed investigators elsewhere. But still, no lead ever resulted in any charges being filed. As the years stretched into decades, Erin's murder became what law enforcement calls a cold case, one that remains officially open, but is currently inactive due to exhausted leads. Such cases are waiting for new evidence or perhaps modern forensics, like DNA analysis. In 2016, with Erin's voice in the back of her mind, Bonnie decided to take a new approach in an effort to solve the mystery that had at that point haunted her for 16 years. With the help of Michael Niger, a former Michigan State Police detective who served as founder and lead investigator of Michigan Backcountry Search and Rescue of Marquette, a website was launched in hopes of cracking the cold case. The site, justiceforerintaylor.com, provides details of Erin's life and the case, an archive of print articles, downloadable posters, and social media-friendly graphics designed to grab the attention of internet users. It appeals to anyone who might hold even the smallest piece of knowledge that could unlock the mystery. When the website was announced, Bonnie said with a heavy heart, "She was my best friend, like one of my sisters. Somebody has gotten away with murder, and it's not right." Bonnie is also offering a $5,000 reward, underwritten by Michigan Backcountry Search and Rescue, for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the person or persons responsible for Erin's death. There are people who believe they know who killed Erin. Bonnie herself has mentioned individuals she once found weird, but suspicion and proof are very different things. She said she's optimistic the website and reward will lead to new information someday. Bonnie has been working with the Marquette City Police Department ever since Erin's death to try to get tips on possible suspects. Detective Captain Mike Kohler, who was the lead investigator in the case for many years, said some time ago that there have been no major developments in the case. We continue and will continue to follow up on any leads that are provided to us, Kohler pledged. It's still an open murder, and we want to solve it. Detective Lisa Benson says these kinds of cold cases are difficult because without any proof, there's not much they can do. It's pretty tough right now, just because most of the investigators weren't there during the time, Benson said. We want to have technology help us, but we need to have those resources to help technology, and we just don't have those right now. While many things have changed during the 25 years since Erin's death, Bonnie's feelings toward her best friend and her desire for closure have remained steadfast. In August 2025, Bonnie said this isn't how she had imagined she would be spending what would have been Erin's 50th birthday. Describing her as a human national treasure, Bonnie said, "She was a sweetheart. I mean, everybody says the same thing, but she would give you the shirt off her back. If I needed a ride, she would give me a ride. I don't understand any of this, because how could she make someone that mad?" Anyone with information about Erin's murder is encouraged to contact the Marquette City Police Department at 906-228-0400. They can also send an email to justiceforerintaylor@gmail.com. Detectives who have worked the case over the years say they still receive tips. They say any piece of information, no matter how insignificant it might seem, could be the missing key. Cases have been solved decades later through the memory of someone who finally chose to speak up, or through new forensic tools that weren't previously available. But as of now, Erin's death remains officially unsolved, and the person who took her life is still walking free. However, just because a case is cold does not mean it's forgotten. Bonnie has kept Erin's memory alive with tireless devotion. Every year, she makes the trip from Madison, Wisconsin to the Upper Peninsula to memorialize her best friend. She visits the site where Erin's body was found, which serves as her unofficial grave. She places crosses and balloons at the sites connected to Erin's life and death. "I'm just trying to get it solved," Bonnie once said. "She's not here. She can't speak for herself. So I come up here every year to be her voice." She speaks of her friend not as a case file, but as a person whose presence once illuminated a room and whose absence still weighs on all who loved her. Bonnie says she has a final message for Erin. "I miss you. Let's take a drive. I just miss you." For those left behind by Erin's murder, the emotional toll is profound. Unresolved loss carries a weight all its own. There's no legal closure, no court case that ends with a sentence and a name. Instead, there are memories, her laugh, her kindness, moments shared that now feel impossibly distant. There are annual pilgrimages to quiet roads and wooded trails where a life was extinguished and then hidden. There are balloons released with messages of love and remembrance. There is a violin passed on to the next generation, a sound that once filled rooms now silenced too soon. When we talk about cases like Erin's, it's easy to focus on the details and the timelines. But what matters most is the person at the center of it all. Erin's life mattered. Her murder is not just a moment frozen in the past. It's a loss that still carries weight today. Remembering Erin means carrying her name forward, acknowledging the pain left behind, and continuing the quest for truth and justice. Until that day arrives, her memory lives on in the hearts of those who refuse to let her be forgotten. and in the quiet hope that someday someone will step forward and say what they know. Only then will Erin Taylor's story find its true conclusion. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Echoes of the Unknown. If you found this story compelling, please don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with fellow mystery lovers. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and remember, in any unsolved case, one tip, one memory, or one moment of courage could be all that is needed to finally bring justice.